Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Salesforce with Megan. Today, we are here for part 2 with Michelle. Michelle and I have something really important to discuss for the end of Hispanic Heritage Month, which ends on October 15th. I wanted to showcase and spotlight Michelle for being Latina in tech. Again, her and I both worked at Salesforce Consultant. We were both business analysts, and now she's serving as a business analyst and a consultant. She is one of the leading women in tech. Her and I actually had an amazing conversation one time working at Torrent, where we both shared our experiences being Latinas in tech. And she's currently living in Guatemala right now, and that is where she is from. So cheers to Guate. On that, I would love to be able to hear your story, Michelle. Just, tell us how it is being a Latina in tech and what your experience has been so far.
All right, perfect. Yes. So I'll start from the beginning. I am from Guatemala, like Megan said. I was born in 1986. That would have been a long time ago. And then that would make me a vampire, but no. So a while ago. So, the Latino cultura, it's really it's special. I am very proud and very happy of having been born in Guatemala. It's a beautiful country, beautiful people. And when we talk about technology, we have to say that, at some point we were a little bit behind compared to other countries. So I am the oldest of 5 kids. I have 2 sisters and 2 brothers. They're all grown now. My mom raised us in Guatemala City, and she's a single mom. So I always knew that I wanted to be something more. I think that back in the days, now it's different, but back in the days, being a woman meant that you were good for being at home, taking care of kids, which I don't think it's bad. If that's the goal, that's what you want to do with your life, then that's perfect. But I think that at some point, women were not seen as anything else, as being good for anything else. So when I was little, my mom was very encouraging about being whatever I wanted to be, whatever that made me happy, and always encouraging me in my studies, that I was good, that I could be good at whatever I put my mind to. So at the beginning, I just, like everybody in Guatemala, not everybody, but most people, I wanted to go to school, study something that was going to give me an advantage to find a job quickly, to be able to help my mom with my siblings and to help my house. So I think that at the beginning, I had no idea what I wanted to be or if I had dreams. I just wanted to find a job, basically. Also, I could tell that being a man meant that you were going to earn more money and you were going to have more options, which was very frustrating because I was like, why can't I have the same options, right? Or like the same opportunities or the same chances. But again, it was something that was there, that I knew it was there, and I was determined to just find my way, not caring about what society was telling me that I could or could not do. I knew that if I put enough effort, I was going to find the right place and the opportunities were going to come to me. So I did, study until 9th grade in a Christian school. And then here in Guate, it's not like you go to high school. You kind of pick like a small career, like you can become a teacher after 9th grade, or you can become a secretary or an accountant. So it is kind of like a big decision in 9th grade, like what's going to be your next step, mm-hmm. right? So I chose to be a secretary, a bilingual secretary. So I always liked English. So I knew English before I studied that. And I knew that, speaking a new language or a different language was going to open up some doors for me, because in Guate we speak Spanish. So I studied that. And when I was there, I had this classmate. She would always bring the newspaper, and she saw this little, advertisement on scholarships in the States. And she was like, hey, you know what? I know that you like to study, because I was I was good at school, and she was like, "You should apply." And I was like, why not? Why not? Let's do it.
Yeah.
What's the worst that could happen? A no. You have the no, so you have to go for the yes, right? So I applied, and to my surprise, and my mom's and my family's, I got the scholarship. I was like, oh, "Are you kidding me? Is this a dream or something?" And I did. It's called the Walton Scholarship. It's like they pick about 8 people from Central America and Mexico, and there are 3 universities in Arkansas. So I went to Harding University. I studied graphic design. And to say the least, I was excited. I was scared. I could not believe I was going to leave my country. I had never thought I was going to get that far. I really did want to continue my studies in the university when I was, in school, but I never thought I was going to do it, abroad. So just the fact I got a scholarship was, was a sign of God that, he was going to be with me, and I was going to be able to conquer every obstacle I was going to find. So I graduated in 2009, and I started working at a call center because, when I came back to Guatemala after graduating, and, life is different. You think you're going to do something after college, and then life happens and it's not as planned. So I did have several roles there. And I think that, that experience really helped me to face a lot of challenges. Being a girl, being, the oldest of my siblings, being, having come from a family where I don't think nobody had gone to college or gotten to that point. I think it was really life-changing experiences for me, for my family, for my sisters, even for my nieces. We have goals now that we know that they'll be able to reach just because we were able to get farther in life. So I worked at that call center for 9 years. Like I said, I had several roles that really helped me to be able to talk better to people, to find my skills, to find what I was good at, what I was more comfortable with, develop my organizational skills, I was in charge of some projects. So I think that all of that really gave me the confidence to understand that I could do it. I didn't have to sit around and wait for anybody to tell me that I could do something. I could pursue it. And it was not easy, but I think that every obstacle helped me, that I was able to overcome, helped me understand that it's not going to be easy, but, if you set your mind to it, you will be able to do so, especially being a woman, because there are so many labels they can give you. And in like adding to that, being Latina in a world where, technology is mostly handled, well, here in Guate, like, even when you think about jobs, most of technology jobs are done by men. And then, like, internationally, being Latino, I think that it's even it's more difficult. It's more difficult. So I think that having found my way to technology, being a woman, being a Latina, it's been great. It's been like eye-opening for me, for my family, for people around me, for friends, for people that maybe did not have an idea that this was a possibility. I think this has opened doors for me and for them.
But Michelle does have a really interesting background. She is not only a designer, but she also has a child's book. So I would love for her to talk a little bit about that.
Sure, definitely. Thank you very much. So I love art in all of its forms, and something I really enjoy doing in my free time whenever I have some is illustration. So talking about technology and this, new world that we're all getting to know and getting used to live in, I do have a book that's published in Amazon. It's called The Enemies of Learning. And I know that we've been talking about, learning a new skill and getting into technology. And this book was actually inspired by that idea. When I started learning Salesforce, I was, having all of these emotions at the same time, wanting to know more, wanting to be good at something from the start. And I just talked about, how negative emotions can really hinder your ability to learn something as much as you want to learn it. So it was inspired by that struggle, that's why I said, it takes hard work, but once you get it, you pursue something, you're going to get it. So yes, I illustrated it. I wrote it. I think it's important to know Emotional intelligence is something we don't really learn. It's not a very popular idea, but I think that when you have to learn something new, whatever it is, it helps that you calm yourself and you understand your own emotions. So that is what the book is about. It's for kids, but it's open and it can be enjoyed by anybody from any age. So yes, it's there in Amazon for anybody who cares to read about what are the enemies of learning. How can you work against them and learn new things with no fear.
Absolutely. And I think that emotions is something that, we get taught the technical skills, but when it comes up to us not understanding a certain section in Salesforce, I would get very frustrated sometimes not understanding automations. And I know that we shared this sometimes, but that feeling of like imposter syndrome almost, but also like feeling like you're not up to par where everybody is. It's such a common feeling in the tech industry. And her book really shines on the emotions part that we should always remember. We need to take a step back. We need to draw out how we feel and then come back to it. We're all in a learning phase. Those people that are 10 or 5 years ahead of you, ask them. That's why they're there for you. But don't forget to take yourself apart and step back and say, like, I am good enough for this. I just need a little bit of a push, and I need to learn and I need to focus. So I will definitely make sure to, for anybody that's interested in Michelle's book, highly do suggest it. I'm going to put it in the description below. So definitely check that out. So Michelle, do you have a role model yourself? I think it's all the time. Not everybody has a role model, but do you have somebody that you looked up to in tech or just in general throughout your career?
Well, that's a very good question. I think that in general, like life-wise, I always looked up to my mom. She has 5 kids, and I don't know how she never gave up. There was always something to do, something to get organized about. Like it's like she's relentless. So I think I got it from her. I was like, she's doing it, with 5 kids. So let me try something, right? So and I think that when I came to Torrent, it was very important to me, because I always thought I was gonna be so like far away from like people from technology, right? And when you get into this world, I mean, literally, you can describe everybody you work with as like, they're so smart, they're so like intelligent, So I think I did have several role models, and I keep having them, like people I work with, and I couldn't name them all. But I think that initially, my first lead that I had when I started working, he was so smart. The way he spoke to clients, the way he came up with solutions, I was like, whoa, like this is actually, I'm right here. I'm part of this team, so I can be, I can be that. I can look forward to becoming like that one day. So I think that was my first contact on this world, and how he was successful and very smart about, coming up with solutions, doing the whole like design of the platform, and configuring and coming up with ideas on the platform. And I was like, I want to be like that, I want to get to the point where I can be like that. So yes, I think that I have had several role models in my life, but I should say my mom as a live role model, and then my first lead as, technology person who taught me a lot of things that I know now.
Shout out to mom, shout out to the first lead. Those are always important. Yes. So for girls and, girls in tech, you have high schoolers, high schoolers are even getting involved in Salesforce now. Salesforce is actively going out and teaching, this is what Salesforce is. These are the business processes. And it's awesome to see. And then you have college students, which are also starting to involve themselves in Salesforce as well. So for young girls, high school, college, and then women that are looking to career transition, or they're just about to graduate, what would you suggest to the woman starting everywhere around the world? There is globally, we know that Salesforce is global. So like, what would you say to them in terms of, not giving up, sticking with what they want to do, and really just going forward with it?
That's a great question. And I think that first of all, I would have to say, don't be afraid of your own thoughts. I think that one of the greatest enemies we have is ourselves. Maybe nobody's telling you, oh, you can't do this, but sometimes you doubt yourself. Mm-hmm. You think you're not gonna be able to do something. So don't be afraid, like, especially if you're coming out of college. I know that when you're very young, there are very big decisions to be made, and it can be scary and intimidating. But if you make a good decision and you follow through, I think it's gonna make a whole world difference, where you're at right now and when you see yourself in 10 years. Mm-hmm. So technology and Salesforce is a world that is getting bigger, and it's not going to get any smaller, but it's going to keep going. So I think that getting involved with that, it's going to be huge. So for number one, don't be afraid. Don't think this is not for you. Yes, it is for everybody who is willing to put work into it. So, educate yourself, read, know about it. Like I said, technology has made information so available that you don't even have to sit in a library and look for an old book. It's right there. You type something and the information is right there. So put your mind to it, really put some effort. Get ahead, educate yourself. Now, I think that especially after the pandemic, this pandemic and everything going on digital, I think that the skills for that have to be bigger. So like, if you have a computer, you have a cell phone that has internet, then you can learn. So go for it. Start reading, cultivate those habits of being open to learn, being open to fail, being open to continue to keep pushing. And I think that being like in the technology world since you're young is gonna be huge. So I would encourage my younger self to do so. I'd be like, well, what about you getting into technology, but I got there on time, so yeah. Here I am. But I would say that to younger girls and people who want to start, it's never late. So, the information is right there. You just have to put work to it and set your mind to it and want to be willing to learn and fail and keep going.
Absolutely. 100% agree with you. I would say another thing is when women come into the industry, expose yourself, get involved with groups. I talk about this so often in my videos, but there are so many groups online, just kind of piggybacking off of what Michelle said. There are women in tech groups. There are tech groups in general. There are local groups that you can get into, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I mean, like, you name it. But there's so many resources where you don't have to necessarily just find somebody in your company. It's great to find that. But if you wanted to find somebody all the way in Germany or Tokyo or Hawaii, like, they're out there. I think it's so important to find somebody that perhaps is doing what you want to do. And if you're a career transitioner, let's say we'll use Michelle for an example. If you are a marketer or a design specialist and you don't think that you would be able to get into the tech realm, you're wrong. Salesforce makes it completely accessible for you to learn. And those professional skills that you have from that previous career can definitely be showcased. And that's something that we just talked about in Michelle's first video. Again, I'll link it right here so you guys can see it. But moving forward, just make sure that you find a group that suits you and your interests and then have that. That's something that I will definitely speak on to. And I know Michelle has had really great mentors as she's showcased. We actually shared one of the same mentors, and I think we both learned so much from that experience. So Michelle, thank you again for coming on. I love hearing how it is to be a Latina in tech. I love hearing about your story. I think that there's so much to be able to showcase to the world. They need to hear that. They need to hear that Salesforce is actually transforming life, not just Salesforce, but tech. We as women can do it. There's resources out there. An area that I wanted to touch on was I feel like a lot of the people that I talk to, especially the older generation, they come from an area where technology was not really pushed or shown to them, or they weren't expected to take a technology role, right? So when I was working at UC Berkeley, the Master's in Data Science program, a lot of my applicants would be men. And that's because they've been around the tech industry for a longer point. But when it comes to women that are like 35 and plus, they don't have that tech experience. So they always ponder and they always question themselves, should I and can I enter the tech space? And the answer is 100% yes, but I feel like these type of videos and these types of people coming on the show and really talking about like, hey, you can do this too. I think that's so important. So for the older generation watching, and I'm not calling you guys out, but I want to really be able to showcase this. You can do technology at any age that you're at. I remember having an applicant and he was about 85 and he was done school. He was just like, I'm bored. I want to learn. Education should never stop. And that's the whole thing with Salesforce is that, you know, from your previous professional experience, you can bring that information and that knowledge into your career. And honestly, I've learned more from my older teammates than I have from people my age or younger, just because of like the project management. You have people who have like the mentoring and the things that they did wrong, honestly, right? Because I even talk to people about things that they did wrong. So, I mean, I would love to just hear if you've seen that, you know, working at Torrent or any of the other previous companies. Have you seen the older generation kind of like contemplate getting into tech?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's a great point because, again, the fear of the new things, right? The fear of the unknown. I think it's the bigger obstacle. And it's not like, you know, a person who is 20 years old has different set of skills of someone who is 65, you know, 70. I definitely, I think we have all the brain power, the brain capability to learn something. It's just that unknown world. So yeah, definitely in Torrent, we have people of all ages, you know, people, I think we got a couple that were already ready to retire, but they decided to take on a new job and, you know, get involved with technology. So, and if you think about, you know, parents, grandparents, like, I don't know, 30 years ago, they would have never thought they were going to have a smartphone on their hand. And now like grandpas are like WhatsApping you or like, you know, texting you or posting stuff in Facebook. So it's not impossible. It's just about getting done with that fear of, you know, I'm not going to understand. You know, sometimes we tell ourselves we can't do things. So when we are faced with the situation, obviously we can't because we already told ourselves we can. So I think that it's really important to understand that, yeah, probably the learning curve is going to be a little bit bigger for people who are used to do things one way, but it's definitely not a closed door by no means. And I think that, like you said, older generations have a lot of experience coming from, you know, different positions, different, experiences. So I think that combined with skills for the technology we're knowing these days, it's going to be huge. And yeah, I mean, there's no age limit to start learning anything, you know. So by all means, yeah, I think teaching everybody, talking about technology and what it is, you know, kind of like presenting them with the idea that it is not some mythical animal, you know, that you are not going to ever see or understand, but something that it's really there. You know, you just like you're learning, like you learn to speak, like you learned whatever you're good at some point. Any, like a person who is very good at something, you know, started from zero. So it's the same, you know, it's like losing that fears of starting from scratch.
Exactly. And I will say that that's perfectly said, is that we all started from scratch, and it doesn't matter what age you come in. Honestly, if you come in at like 40, 50 and somebody comes in at 18, like let's bounce ideas off of each other. We have different skill sets than you have. And I think that's, especially when it comes into consulting or working with a team, that's what makes a strong team essentially. So yeah, perfect advice. Thank you for that. But I would love to be able to ask you if there's anything that you would like to say to our audience.
Yeah, like I think just like wrapping up and you know, I can't stress this enough. You know, sometimes if you feel that there's a world out there that's too big for you, you know, it is big, but never too big. So, you know, just go for it. Being a woman, being Latino, being Latina. I mean, it's a great. I mean, it's you may be changing the history for someone, for yourself, just by taking a chance. So don't be afraid of taking that chance, because I mean, it can make the difference. You know, one decision, just one jump, one leap of faith, it's all it takes to change life. So yeah, by all means, technology, it's a great industry, it's growing, it's not going to stop growing. So, you know, you'll be on the right boat if you get on that. So
exactly. I always am a firm believer of don't censor your voice before anybody has a chance to hear it. And that means definitely go into tech, you know. So, and thank you so much for coming on. And we loved having you. And we'll definitely try and get her on in the future. She's terrific to have. Well, everybody take care. Subscribe for more if you want to see more. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.